all kidding aside, I've been wanting to watch this for a long time. I'm a big fan of Al Reinhardt's For All Mankind, which was kind of my go-to for things like this. And now this was at least as good.
I saw this in the theater in IMAX. And and I cried my eyes out. And I cried my eyes out again watching it this time.
Me too. I've never seen this before, and I cried. I cried
it's so beautiful. It's this is the best of us. Like, this is literally the best that we can do as a species.
One of the best things we've ever done.
And right now, specifically in our current time that we are in now, watching this at this moment, when we used to be beautiful people, and
think about what we could do if we all pulled in the same direction.
There's nothing we can't do, right?
So you're getting to what I was going to get, which is, as beautiful as this was, like by the end I was if not profoundly depressed, maybe on my way there.
So I was talking to Roz about it though, and I sent her the screenshot of the plaque on the base of the lem, and she was like, I don't like that it says mankind. And I was like, yeah, well, it's 1969. And she's like, yeah, I know, but also I don't like that it says mankind. It should say humanity.
It absolutely should.
Sure.
But if you look up the Jim can tell us what man is not actually a gender.
Whatever.
Jim
it
can
doesn't
tell us
matter. We don't live in a society where man isn't a gender. Like, that's just that we don't live in that world.
But it doesn't come from that. It doesn't come from a sexual based. It's
Yeah, but the word woman also comes from the Saxon Wolfman, which means wife of man. So like
man's the root, woman's an addition. That's the thing. Yeah, you're right. And also, this was a profoundly white experience.
Well, that was the thing, right? So it's like, you're watching.
Well, they don't even show any of the women who were involved in this, and there were hundreds of them.
They show one. They're as beautiful. Like, first off, as a film, like the no narration thing, like,
which I loved.
Brilliant,
so good, so good.
The raw material they had to work with was so amazing that like as a movie.
And the only addition is the animation of where it is.
Which was
and let's talk about like how gorgeous some of this footage is.
It's phenomenal.
That 65 millimeter footage they found in the National Archives made this thing work.
You guys saw I put in the chat, whereas I was like you're watching this, and then you're constantly sort of reminded about the Caucasianness of this particular experience and the people that worked on it. And
you mean yelling about movies?
Whitey's on the moon.
I probably counted like the number of non-whites like on one hand as you're watching it, and then
they don't even show the Russian response to this. Like,
what
let
else
alone
was going on in 1969? I started googling. Like,
you do get that moment.
There was a war, I think.
You do get the moment where they talk about there's only one battle. There's only one battle going on in Vietnam, but then they immediately swap to Ted Kennedy. Like,
Chappaquiddick.
Now, this was not kind of like a global perspective film. It's just about the mission, which is
it's beautifully focused. I think
focused on just actually.
They bring up a couple times that 500 million people watch this.
Yeah. You know, I've seen documentaries.
Yeah, you don't get to see it in Africa. You don't get to see it in China. You only get to see it in America.
One of the most interesting documentaries I saw in Apollo 11 was they're interviewing a Marine lieutenant in Khe Sanh, which was happening right around this time. Right. And he's talking about, well, this seems like really abstract to me. And there's a shot of this guy, like the helmet on and like the boonie stuff. And camera just slowly goes up to the moon. And that's what was happening at that time.
I mean, I think one of the moments as tainted as it is, it's when Nixon called them. That's one of the moments I really started crying because that conversation, you know, I don't know. There used to be like the office of the presidency meant something at one point.
Even Nixon, you're absolutely right.
It shouldn't have.
But even though it was Nixon who was, you know, obviously not the best. Yeah, but I just mean that like
but given what's come since then, it's like
less horrible, but still horrible.
No, Nixon was better than Reagan. Reagan was better than Trump, and yet we're still sitting where we are. Like,
true. I agree with that 100%. Yeah. But I mean, but what I'm addressing is I think just the sort of seriousness, the weight of it.
Oh yeah,
the special.
Nixon was trying to.
This right here, they could have died.
Oh God, the number of times they could have died in this movie.
Oh yes, I know.
And I will tell you, my response to that is I would have taken it. If you told me that I could go on this, any one of the times they could have died, I would have been in. Like, no, you're gonna die when you land on the moon. You're gonna die before you take off. You're gonna die on your way home. Like, I would have done it. I would have done it in a second.
And the Russians didn't have a problem with it. They killed a lot of people.
Every time they described the maneuver that they were going to have to do to get to the next thing, I'm like, there's 12 million ways that could go wrong.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it was all.
They're calculating it all on basically the computer equivalent of an abacus.
What is it? Is it Kyle Chandler in? By the way, all of these people look like Kyle Chandler.
Or Ed Harris.
Well, on top of that, it really all this great footage really hammers home how well. Unfortunately, I hate to admit it, Hollywood has gotten the 60s right in terms of all these films that we've seen, in terms of like production design and like color and.
Hey, I've got you, Chris.
Yeah, Chris. When they went into quarantine, I immediately started thinking about First Man again. Such a good film.
But there's so many. There's been so many Hollywood films that, I mean, because they've seen this footage. I mean, it's spot on. It's spot on in terms of production design and colors.
There's plenty of reference materials, so they can't.
When they're walking next to what's behind Chris, when they're walking next to
that's amazing
costume design,
the vehicle. But I forgot what that thing's called.
When they're walking next to the transport vehicle, it's exactly the same as it is in Apollo 13. Like, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Because they were going to a shuttle launch, so they just had them walk next to it. So
they use the same hardware. Yeah. But you make it once, you have to make it again. That's the one thing that's good about it.
Also, I love when he does the first step, they have it all from Buzz Aldrin's perspective.
Yeah.
From the camera looking down on him.
Yeah, up top. Yeah.
You don't have the one that we've seen a billion times
black
of
and
the
white
side.
Right.
We have the one looking down.
And they didn't edit out the space, so you get the actual audio space of how long it took him to say "one giant leap for mankind."
Because he's stunned.
Yeah,
because he's stunned by what.
When you hear it now, it's all cut closer together.
Right. Yeah, they take out the gap.
I would have.
This movie did so many. This movie did so many good things like that. Like, for instance, when they had to redock after they take off from the moon, and Columbia and what's the other piece called? The lander.
Eagle. Lander.
The dock. They don't even talk. You don't hear anything. It's just that dot against the background of the moon. And the dot gets bigger, and the dot gets bigger.
Also, have any of you seen Columbia? Have any of you been to the Air and Space Museum? And said, oh my God, that's another one of those things where it's just like, Jesus fucking Christ, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
The Smithsonian Air and Space.
And you think the fucking balls to climb into that,
also
on top
and land on the moon.
To get on top of a 300-foot tall rocket and sit in those chairs and let them close that big hatch
to get on top of a 300-foot bomb and be like,
and you're going,
space, motherfucker.
You're going to the moon.
Also, think about this.
I also want to mention
the mission started with this gigantic tower, right? You can see it from miles away, and it ended up, and you see this in Air and Space Museum, the Columbia. It's size of a Volkswagen van, and it's all burned to shit. I have a photo of my ex-wife standing in front of one of the engines from a Saturn V. Oh, the F1, yeah.
Is that in Texas?
No, it's here at Boeing.
Oh,
they did a whole thing at Boeing. Right. And she's 5'9", and she doesn't come a quarter of the way up the vent on the bottom of it. Like, it's just it's this big. Right. And you just look at it and you're like, fuck, dudes sat on top of this, and we're like, all right, I guess.
Five of them.
Yeah. In
this is so well constructed. Chris mentioned like the whole non-narration. It's just what it is. They present. And sort of a part of that is how subtle yet effective the musical score is in this is just wonderful.
And then one of the things that makes this so good is
the part where they have the song that's on the tape deck floating around, and they cut to the full thing, and then at the end they cut back, and it's just ending.
But even there were many times where it was like a pulsating, but it was very subtle, but it was building your.
It was like a heartbeat.
Yes, it was like this.
which is being monitored constantly through this movie.
And I loved we got reports on how fast everybody's heart was beating.
Yeah, no,
they were pretty cool all along.
110
like,
when it starts.
Those guys are fucking nails.
110 when it starts and 156 when they land. And
that's right.
That was the one time. That was the one time where Armstrong was really like white knuckling it, because
would be like
because they were going to land on boulders, and he
had to take over and fly over the boulders.
The computer was failing halfway through the landing. It's nuts.
If you're jogging all out, your heart rate's like 165 or over. You know, like
right.
I got that because one criticism, it was great on the movie screen, but the typography is a little bit small, even for a large TV. I got up and I walked over to watch the countdown to see how many seconds of food they had left. Also, it was so good that
4 seconds.
I thought it was 16.
4.
Okay. Anyway, not much left in the tank.
No,
he's a perfectionist. Like Neil, like this is no. This is perfect right here. Boom.
Yeah, I still got 2 seconds.
The thing that did aside from the 65 millimeter, they actually found those 30 track recordings of Mission Control.
Right. The audio.
Restored them and took
the part where they do the go no go. And it's and they have the controller and it's just bop 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 bop.
Yeah, that was good.
Bop, bop. You can see all this. They're talking in sync, which is something that no documentary has done before this, because they actually synced it all up. So you hear Gene Kranz talking, and you can hear it.
See him talking.
It's funny too how many people they kept introducing people who were coming in for their shifts. So and so's coming in for their shift. So and so coming in for their shift.
So you realize there's three entire shifts. Yeah, because they have to go around the clock. There's 3 entire shifts.
I know.
We're going to bed, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
So, see you tomorrow.
They're gonna have food. They're gonna lay down.
You should get some shut eye.
2 other things. Obviously, Aldrin and Armstrong get a lot of the credit because they actually touched their feet on the friggin' moon. But Michael Collins should get something for how many hours did he have to basically just
orbit
by himself?
Yep.
That's why I said he got kind of fucked.
He was up there.
No, because again, he took the most iconic photo that's ever been taken.
Now you point that out. Yeah.
But that motherfucker went all the way up there and didn't get to touch the moon.
That's true.
And again, by himself.
Jim Lovell did that twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well,
the first time he wasn't scheduled to, and the second time he wasn't allowed to.
So he's at a dinner party and he's all I flew around it.
Well, Collins, I bet you even Collins.
Yeah, it's definitely that Brian Regan joke, but it's I flew to the moon.
It's still the guy still not to buy a drink in America for the next 10 years. You know that, right?
Right.
The other thing I want to say was we all sort of mentioned it, as a historical perspective, is this is the best of some of us, obviously. And then thinking about all the things that could have gone wrong and didn't go wrong because people were good at their jobs. I'll bet
every single person who's ever been to space has come back and said that changed my view of the world.
Right. Yeah.
There's a whole movie about that with Natalie Portman that actually wasn't terrible.
Okay.
But it was literally about how if you go to space, you don't come back normal anymore.
Same person. Yeah, exactly.
The astronaut's wife. Yes.
No. It's a couple of years ago.
No. The one where she was wore diapers and went to go kill that bitch.
No.
Not that one.
Not Annihilation. No, it's
Star Wars Episode 1.
Now, yeah, of course.
Who probably remembers this better than me? I was 4.
Okay, 8:26. I'm right, cutting all this stuff out.
You guys are thinking about Shatner and Bezos going up into the capsule.
I forgot that Shatner went to space.
Fuck them. So fuck both of them.
No, there's a great photo of Shatner, and it's the back of his head, and he's just looking out the window, and everybody else is like blah 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 blah, and he's just looking out the window.
I mean, the Mythbusters episode where Adam Savage goes up in the SR-71 and they kiss the edge of space in the SR-71. It's so amazing.
I haven't seen that one.
He's just geeking entirely the fuck out. Right. He's just
what's the edge of space? That's the stratosphere.
Yeah, where everything turns black.
Yeah,
and then you
where you're going out of the ozone layer.
Where you
I think any of us would be speechless, something like that. I think
start to see the curvature of the Earth.
Yeah. No, again, I would die in that capsule.
I would go if somebody called me up today and said, "Will you go?" I'll say, "Yeah, fuck out."
No, if you told me you have to die on the moon, I'd be like, "All right, fuck it."
I don't know about that.
I would.
If they said you might die. You could die on this trip.
You're going to die on the moon. Okay, fine.
Hold on. 3 of us here remember the Apollo 11 mission.
You see, I don't remember.
No, you're too young, Chris, but Jim, me, and John remember it.
I have a vivid memory of the Apollo 11 moon landing.
Yeah.
Wait, how old were you guys?
I was 12.
7.
Yeah, I was 7 as well because I'm as old as he is.
Yeah. Wow.
What I remember is that we watched the whole thing, and I was fascinated. And then
I have a vivid memory of Challenger, unfortunately.
Well, right, Jim, you knew different. Even as a kid, you knew what a big deal this was.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The world was quiet while it happened.
Yeah, it was quiet.
Really excited about
everybody was talking about one thing. I remember
the Soviets put out a statement that was like, we want to congratulate the Americans on this achievement for all of humanity. Like
after all the competition.
Yeah. Like
and we all even together in one place. That was just amazing.
There have only been 12 people who've ever done this.
Right.
I remember just sitting
and they're the coolest motherfuckers on the planet.
I remember sitting like a foot from my Motorola TV, the console TV with all the dark wood on it, watching this thing just wrapped right.
Let me tell you a little just my little memory of that day, the 20th. Yeah. So they're on the moon, they're walking on the moon. I don't remember if it was after they got back on board the lander or not, but I walked out. I'd been watching it on television, and I walked out of my house and I walked down my driveway and looked at my next door neighbor's house. And there's a really lovely lady that lived there named Nettie Gomes. And I looked up at her kitchen window and there was her face. And she made a face I'd never seen an adult make before. She went. And I walked up onto her porch and she opened the door and she goes, "Isn't this amazing? Isn't this the greatest thing?" And I think that impressed me more than anything else that anybody ever said was that face. And she was so excited and she wanted to talk to me about it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was,
see, that's what, and that brings it back. That brings it back to the beginning of this conversation about this is a very special movie about a very special event, and it was a time when regardless of race or color or who we are, like this was phenomenal
for all mankind.
Like and regardless of mankind, which I understand that point too, but I just mean how special. Yes, everyone. That's what I felt watching this, and that's why I cried.
Oh, good for you.
Sort of giant meteor or alien invasion, and not even that. I don't think you would get everybody looking in the same direction again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what would have to happen to get 500 million.
The only thing I think of is alien invasion. That's
first contact.
But
we would just get together to kill them.
Yeah, not even going to Mars would do this, I think.
I don't know.
No, this is the first step that a human took on something that isn't Earth.
Yeah, outside of our gravitational.
And it's of the time period, right? I mean, it would be different now. And
it would be, yeah.
I don't know. I would still love to see a person walk on the moon in my lifetime. Like I would.
We just sort of dropped it.
So I watched when Curiosity landed, when what's the most recent one when that one landed?
Oh, I watched that for sure.
Yeah, I watched that and I was just sobbing when it happened. Like it's the most beautiful thing in the world. Like we can do whatever we want if we try hard enough.
Well, there's
come together.
No limits to human curiosity. There's no limits to our sense of exploration. It's part of us. It's part of
right. If we could apply that kind of focus to problems.
Good things.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
good thing.
At the same time, it's a reminder.
It could be beautiful.
But it's also a reminder of how much bigger the world is, or there's so many galaxies. There's so much out there. There's so much out there. We are very tiny.
No, we'll never touch any of it, and that's why we need to work together as a people.
Yes, that's true. So John cut me off in my story about watching.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was watching it really close to the TV, and behind me, my Uncle Jim was visiting from Stockton, sitting in the comfortable chair. He was out cold the entire time.
Oh no!
Because when this happened, the footage was not that compelling.
No.
Because it was just black and white footage that was hard to figure out.
Grainy video.
And mostly guys sitting at desks at networks talking about what's happening.
Yeah, that's another reason why this movie is very special. Because
that's the thing.
Wow, what they did to this.
This film takes it from this crummy broadcast with the best technology available in '69 to full screen,
and with footage they never had released before.
17K footage and fantastic audio, and it's just
I was watching this in 4K, and it's just fucking gorgeous.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Okay, Jim has been quiet.
Jim's corner.
He was 12. Give us the 12-year-old story, Jim.
I was amazed. I was amazed that we didn't get to see Werner von Braun and all the other paperclip Germans who helped us get.
I already mentioned the Nazis. I already brought the Nazis up.
Jim's problem with the Apollo movie was the lack of Nazis.
The lack of Nazis.
That's something that we have to deal with as a society.
The black women who were doing the mathematics.
This is true.
Right.
Yep. I have the Lego set.
There's a movie about that, right?
I think they cycled all the Nazis out.
Hidden Figures.
I want to see the movie then about the black women doing the mathematics and then the Germans. I want that to be the same movie.
No, the Right Stuff is more the German scientists they got in World War II. They
a little bit in Right Stuff, yeah.
You get it a little bit in Apollo 13 too. This is Gunther Wendt. I want to ver Gunther Wendt.
Yeah, Gunther Wendt was an old. Yeah, he was an old V2 guy. Yeah, he was a.
So Jim, do you got more?
To add to John and Scott's memories, my 12-year-old self, I remember watching it on this small black and white portable that was on this houseboat that we had parked out on Sonoma Creek, and I just remember that there was nobody else was watching it in my family.
Whoa!
What?
Working and doing other shit.
Wow.
I was the only person, so I didn't have anybody to share it with.
Aww.
This is like the story my father told me of when Pearl Harbor happened, and he was the one listening to the radio, and he like walked into the kitchen and was like, yeah, the radio just said that like they bombed some place called like Pearl River or something, and his dad freaked the fuck out and like ran out of the room. Like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pearl River, I love it.
Pearl River.
Pearl River is a city in upstate New York.
Yeah.
Who had seen this before?
I saw it in the theater.
So did I.
In the theater.
So 2019.
In IMAX. It was
I heard about it, but
God.
Unfortunately, I'm generally not interested in spaceship, but this was phenomenal.
I would give anything to go back and watch this in IMAX again.
Yeah, me too. If you re-release it, I'll be there, man.
I'll put it on the projector and it'll look great.
Now, it's just this is
just
good
documentary
filmmaking, because it's like it doesn't have narration, it leaves you your own conclusion. It just displays.
I love this style of documentary.
No, it just goes to the
documentary filmmaking.
I disagree with you, Scott. It does have narration in the beginning, which is Walter Cronkite.
Yeah, well,
they bring Cronkite in a couple of times.
Well, you can't have anything about the '60s without Cronkite showing up. You know that, right? That's pretty much anything. I think
he was the most trusted man in America.
I think I heard his voice. I think I heard his voice in.
I miss him.
We need real journalism. Bring it back, please.
And I'll say, like
Dirty Dancing of all things.
I don't know. Murrow and
yeah, when it really meant something.
The guy that did this didn't seem to have like a extensive track record, but I mean, he
was a CNN producer.
He didn't. I mean, if you get handed a jewel of, hey, we've got all this like large format film that's been sitting in an archive and no one's ever seen before and is perfectly preserved. Please don't fuck it up.
Yeah,
and he didn't. Like he
didn't.
Every time they put a timer on screen to something, and you're just like,
yeah. Well, that's a testament. Again, that's the testament
to how it ends, and you're still on the edge of your seat.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
And that's a testament to this event.
Yeah.
All the way to the filmmaker saying, I have to respect the shit out of this, and I'm going to just present it as such.
The restraint,
without
restraint. Restraint is the word of the day for this.
Yeah, exactly. Some other asshole could have made this all,
Ken Burns,
blah 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 blah.
You have to hear.
Ken Burns would have had like voiceover over like
Tom Hanks doing
Talking Heads.
Fingerprint on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad it wasn't a Discovery Channel like top 10 dinosaurs, or whatever. You could have really fucked this up.
Who's that Dirty Jobs guy?
Mike Rowe.
Yeah, you could see, they probably would have hired him to do this.
Yeah.
Going to the moon was very important.
I'm getting mad about a film that doesn't exist now.
Like 5,000 symbol crashes during the entire.
No, this is the good side of CNN. Like
sometimes less is more, and subtlety is everything.
Yeah, Bourdain. Yeah.
If I had a third thumb, I would give
All right, there we go.
Two big, huge.
I don't have enough thumbs.
I don't
Right.
say it enough, but this is one of those things that makes me proud to be an American. Damn it, it's weird.
Exactly.
Doesn't make
Not
me proud
used
to be
to it
American. It
anymore.
makes me
I'm
proud
not
to be
used to it
human.
anymore.
Yes.